Yeah, pleasure, man. So you're the co-founder and co-CEO of ZeroX and Matcha. So ZeroX is a suite of swap and analytics APIs for on-chain apps, and Matcha is a leading DEX aggregator that has facilitated over $68 billion in volume. So I think everyone listening to this is probably uses ZeroX every day without even realizing it. So wondering if you can just give us a sense of the kind of breadth of integrations and scale that ZeroX has.
Yeah, so our swap APIs are integrated into, I would say, most major wallets and applications in this space. So, Coinbase Wallet, Phantom Wallet, Rainbow Wallet, MetaMask, you know, DeFi Llama, like you name it. Yeah, I think for the most part, um, if you're making trades at all, like there's a good chance that a decent amount of them are being routed through
And
us.
why does someone like Phantom or Coinbase with seemingly infinite resources use ZeroX versus building something like this in-house?
Yeah, I think it's just it's a really hard problem to build this in-house. I mean, we're like a 70-person team fully focused on this, and we're, pretty aggressively hiring more at this point. I think people underestimate the amount of work that goes into always maintaining like the best pricing, the highest coverage of markets, the highest coverage of blockchains, keeping latency down. I mean, it's just constant, right? There are like hundreds of different decentralized exchanges out there, and we have to constantly be adding support for them, and making sure that our pricing is being improved and such. Um, yeah, I think a lot of teams end up thinking that it might be a good idea to build their own or whatever. They like get the process started and then eventually give up and just use us.
And what is the revenue model for ZeroX? I'm always curious about this for such widely integrated infrastructure.
Yeah, I would say it depends on the type of customer. We generally like try to align our revenue model with the customer's revenue model so that it works best for them. But you could more or less think about it as some sort of transaction based fee. So um, by default, if you just like go to our website and sign up, spin up an API key, we charge 15 basis points on the kind of freemium plan. So the developers themselves are not paying any fees, but their users are being charged a fee.
Got it. Sounds lucrative with some of the customers you have. So what led you to building Matcha in 2020 and stepping into the consumer product game instead of just continuing to focus on infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we launched towards the end of 2017, and we were fully focused on just building out this developer ecosystem, and we had pretty good traction off the bat. Like, and we were maybe the first or one of the first live protocols on Ethereum, period. And there are lots of dexes or lots of companies just generally looking to like build a business in the blockchain world, and they didn't want to issue a token, and they decided to use us and build dexes on top of us. And it worked well while we were still in a bull market, but then 2018 bear market happened. Most of these dexes ended up dying, and I think we just realized that we needed to control our own destiny, and having our own consumer product was a big part of that. The other part of it is that, I mean, frankly, uh, we thought that we could do better than a lot of these dexes, right? We kind of wanted to show people how it's done. Like, this is a proof of concept. This is something really good that you can build on top of Zero X. But it ended up transforming into a lot more than a proof of concept. And then finally, I would say it allows us to create really tight feedback loops internally, because Matcha is generally the first user of any APIs we build, right? Like closed alpha, like Matcha will be using stuff, and yeah, it just allows us to build really good products for developers.
So there seems to be this consensus, at least on the timeline, that building infrastructure is very different than building consumer products, and that the two teams are probably have very different attributes. So I'm curious if you can comment on, yeah, how you've approached that. Is that true? How you've been successful at building this infrastructure and also a killer consumer product?
Yeah, I think they are quite different. I mean, the teams are quite separate, I would say, aside from like sharing, really tight feedback with each other, right? But very different skill sets. Like Matcha team is much more focused on like front end engineering and um, traditional consumer product skills. Go to market strategy is very different, right? The type of customer is very different, but we are able to pass all of those learnings on to the teams that are focused on 0x. But generally, the teams focused on the APIs, there are a lot more of them, right? Because they're essentially the back end for Matcha, as well as building out the infrastructure for all these external developers. So it's a much more like highly technical and complex product. And yeah, I think Matcha is lucky enough that they get to kind of just consume them.
For sure. So it sounds like integrating further into Solana and building out your cross-chain APIs are a big focus at the moment. So I'm curious what's driving this now, and then I guess ultimately what gaps your products are hoping to fit in the Solana ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll be honest. We're definitely late to the game in Solana. It's something that we should have done earlier, but the best time to do it is as soon as possible, I would say. And we've seen really strong demand from our customers to support Solana. And what held us off from building it earlier is just really, really hard. It's an entirely different tech stack from all the other blockchains that we support, and we are building it from the ground up. And the reason we're building it from the ground up is because we think that we can build something better than what's out there. In the EVM space, we're known for having best pricing, best execution, really low latency. Initial results that we're seeing with our Solana API, which is in a closed alpha right now, is it's going to be really, really, really fast, like an order of magnitude faster than anything else out there. And this is for Solana in particular, this is really important. I mean, their kind of catchphrase is IDRL, increased bandwidth, reduced latency. And two of their main types of users are kind of these high frequency trader types. Latency is really important, and then also meme coin traders and latency is really important there. So yeah, I think we're going to be able to launch something that is quite a bit better than anything else out there. And yeah, our routing, I mean, a couple of years ago, we redesigned our entire pricing and routing algorithm. And we've essentially implemented like the mathematically optimal way to route, and no one else has done that yet. And yeah, it's going to be quite a bit better for our Solana API as well.
All right. So I think back in 2026, you kind of made, or 2016, sorry, you made a big bet that everything of value can be represented digitally and will be tokenized. I'm curious if you can reflect on where we are in that journey 8 years later.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just been playing out in real time since then. Yeah, I think when Will and I, mutually came up with that vision, there really weren't very many tokens out there, and it was like within months of starting 0x, we just started to see it. There've been many phases. There's ICO era, there's DeFi summer, there's NFT summer. Um, now we have security tokens, meme coins, everything. So yeah, I mean, it's happening for sure, and I still think we have a long way to go. I'm pretty interested in everything that's happened with kind of mainstream companies, TradFi, like starting to take this stuff seriously and talk about tokenization. And I mean, even like the SEC themselves came out and said like they believe that like all markets eventually will be on chain, right? So I think that's huge. But yeah, I also think we'll continue to see new types of assets that like don't really have analogs in the real world. Yeah, just be experimented with and launch on blockchains. Like Zora coins are, kind of an example of that. It's like very hard to describe or explain what they are, but yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of experimentation within the world of tokenization.
I'm curious how you conceptualize like the bigger kind of multi-year vision for I guess 0x Matcha, like the organization as a whole looking forward? Like, are there more consumer products you want to go build? Kind of different infrastructure verticals you want to go after?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the short answer is yes, probably. Within Matcha, we will have multiple products under the same brand, kind of focus on different types of users. Um, yeah, I would say right now, I mean, if you've ever used Matcha, very focused on having really good user experience, really fast, able to discover and research tokens, and then yeah, of course, swap them really efficiently. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are definitely other types of users that they might value, like simplicity more, or pricing more. Maybe they're trading millions of dollars at a time, and there are differences in how we build out the products for these user segments. So yeah, you will see more. um and yeah, within the developer space, I mean, right now focus is just building out a single API where you can swap anything to anything, any chain to any chain, in the most efficient way possible, best pricing, best execution, lowest latency. And I think that in itself, it's a huge problem, especially when you start adding in chains like Solana, other non-EVM chains, cross-chain swaps, right? Like the design space just blows up exponentially. So I think that will be the core of our focus. But most likely, our developers are using things other than swap APIs, and I think there are opportunities to build synergistic APIs with data APIs and things like that yeah, help them just build better products.
I guess I'm curious what other networks or blockchains are on your radar here, because it sounds like Solana being a very big lift, all of a sudden made sense when significant volume was moving through that chain. And I'm curious if there are others that you are maybe trying to be a little more ahead of the curve on as you look forward.
Yeah, I mean, with EVM chains, I would say it's easier for us to be ahead of the curve, and just the cost benefit is a little bit different. So we're definitely taking bets um, on a lot of EVM chains early that we think will see good adoption. I mean, upcoming is Monad. I think we're going to be live on day one there. Plasma is another one we're going to be live on day one. Um, Outside of the EVM space, I mean, keeping an eye on things, right? We've had a little bit of demand for like trading native Bitcoin. There are potentially some interesting things around Hyperliquid ecosystem. I think Sui has seen decent adoption as well. But I would say like you said, we do more look for some signs of adoption before like taking those really big bets. And also just take guidance from our customers, and like the things that pretty much every single one of our customers wants is Solana support and cross-chain support. So
Nice. Amir, maybe last question before we let you go. I'm curious what, like, outside of the realm of the stuff you spend your day to day on, is there anything within the crypto landscape, maybe kind of emerging categories or trends that are exciting you?
hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm pretty active in DeFi, I would say. I don't know, do a decent amount of trading, and yeah, I mean, I think Hyperliquid ecosystem is pretty interesting. Um, I I feel like there will be something at the intersection of AI and crypto at some point. I'm not too opinionated on what that is, but it just feels natural to like see something when you have these two technologies, like crazy technologies. Like there's going to be something crazy at the intersection of the two. And yeah, I mean, I think just generally it's really hard to predict what blows up in crypto, because they're kind of net new use cases to the world often. So that's an area I am interested in, and keeping an eye on. But who knows where it actually goes.
Okay, I have one last question. I mean, you guys are, I think, one of the first projects and tokens that I think I discovered in my early days of my crypto journey. Uh, and I can imagine sort of building what you're building and sort of fundraising the way that you did, or at least launching in the way that you did, came with a lot of risk at the time. And now we're sitting in a time where that seems to be changing quite drastically. Curious if you sort of can comment on just the shift from then to now.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the early days, there was risk for sure, but it was also in some ways more Wild West than than it is
Right.
today. Like I think today people generally know best practices. And there were kind of these middle years where it was like extremely risky to be building in this space. And I think, yeah, like building in 2022 was way riskier than building in 2017, in my opinion, because rules were like uh a little bit more established. There were things that kind of knew that you absolutely could not do, and then you also had the administration really hating
The
crypto. Whereas
letters.
in 2017, it was kind of it was like almost a little bit more acceptable that anything went because like nobody just knew anything about this technology. Um, but yeah, I mean, we really tried to do our best in 2017. And yeah, I mean, I know like a very big part of our runway went to lawyers and such. And, we did the token sale in a way that was really fair. And, we capped the participation of individuals and wanted a really wide distribution. And I think that helped. But yeah, I mean, it's encouraging today that we definitely don't view it as like anything goes now. But yeah, I mean, just to like see things being formally, codified as law, and yeah, I just think there are like way more opportunities opening up now, and like we're starting to see real institutional interest, banks, fintechs, so, all of that. Lots of, I mean, I don't know if you saw like Google announced they're launching a layer one. Yeah, I mean, pretty crazy stuff.
Do you guys have an institutional sort of team? Is that a big part of the markets you're going after?
Um, we don't have a full team focused on it, but we do like to have these conversations. Um, yeah.
Amazing, man. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. It's always, I don't know, I think awesome to see just the progress you guys have made over the many years. I think it is no easy feat to build incredible infrastructure and a consumer product that people know and love. Both seem like they have a lot of opportunity ahead of them. So thanks for hopping on today and give us a bit more insight into what you're building.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Here's Amir.
Peace, man.